Hey, my name is Eric Worrell, and in today's video, we're answering the question of, does having a zero balance affect your credit score? So before I ever get into these videos, I like to look at Google related questions. So we'll enter that into Google and see what else people are also asking. We're going to be covering some of these items throughout this video in addition to the main topic. Also, why did my credit score go down when I paid off my credit card? We'll get to that at the end of the video because you may find that interesting as well. So to get back to it, does having a zero balance affect your credit score? It won't hurt your credit score. In fact, having a zero balance does not cause any negative impact to your score, says Sarah Davies, Senior Vice President of Analytics and Product Management and Research with VantageScore. That's quite the title. So somebody who's pretty high up in the world of credit says it will not have any negative impact. In fact, it may help. She also says you get the maximum value for having your utilization at zero, for having all that credit available to you. So what is she talking about utilization exactly? Well, there are 5 factors that really determine your credit score. Number 1 is payment history, which represents 35% of your credit score. Number 2 is credit utilization rate, which is 30%. That is what she's referencing when she says utilization at zero. And then the other 3 that round it out are credit age, new credit you've taken on, and type of credit you use. So we're going to focus on number 2 for this video, credit utilization rate, and how you can improve yours, and then what you need to know when it comes to that. So understanding your credit utilization. What is it? Well, sometimes it's referred to as your credit utilization ratio, and it is how much you typically owe each month divided by your total credit limit, and it affects your overall credit score. So let's say hypothetically you have $3,000 average amount of monthly credit with a $4,000 credit limit on one credit card. So what happens there is you're spending average $3,000 every month, but when you divide 3,000 by 4,000 equals 0.75 or 75% credit utilization. Well, what does that mean? Well, there is a rule of thumb that 30% is the magic number with credit utilization. Now, if you're under 30%, it's good, and the lower it is, the better. But if you're over it, that is bad and it hurts your credit score. So 75% would be really bad because you're far over 30%. So therefore, if you're over 30%, one way to lower your utilization is to open another credit card, even if you're not planning to use it, because it will increase your total credit limit. So understanding your credit usage. So credit usage you use to calculate your average monthly credit usage. It is based on all of your credit card statements. So this is something I think people get tripped up on and I wanted to make you aware of. So what you do is you go back 12 months and add up all of your credit card statements for all of your cards and divide that number by 12 to learn what your monthly credit usage is. So does having no debt hurt your credit score? Well, it would most likely help your credit score, and I'll get to that in a minute why it most likely is in there in parentheses. So does having no debt hurt your credit score? Again, going back to this credit utilization rate at number 2, when you have no debt, that credit utilization rate is going to be very low. It should be close to 0 instead of 30, and 30 is just kind of the benchmark. So it should help your credit score, but there are instances where you might see a small ding to your credit. So how to lower your credit utilization? There's really 3 ways to do this. Number 1 is simply just lower your monthly spending. And the way it works is if you do it for 1 month, now what you would have is you'd have 12 months where 11 of the months you had that same regular spending and 1 month of lower spending. So you'll see a little bit of a change. After 12 months, you'll see a drastic change by doing that. The other way to do it is you can increase your credit limit on your current card. If you only have one credit card, if you all of a sudden were able to double your credit limit from like 4,000 to 8,000, that's going to help your credit utilization rate quite a bit. And the third way is that you can open a new credit card to increase your overall limit. And we'll get to that in a little bit as well. So understanding how credit usage is determined. So it's based on your total credit usage across all credit cards and not an individual card by card basis, which we touched on earlier, but I just wanted to kind of hammer this point home that in scenario A, if you had one card with $0, so you have no debt on it ever, and card 2 always cares about a $2,000 average monthly credit, and then in scenario B, you have a card that has $1,000 and card 2 has $1,000, your monthly credit usage is the same at $2,000 a month. It doesn't matter how you divvy it up. So scenario A, scenario B, it's the same thing as far as in terms of your credit score. So that's something you want to keep in mind. So multiple credit cards and credit utilization. So what happens if we go from like 1 to 2 cards? Now the example earlier, recall, we had $3,000 of average credit that we were spending a month. And that was based on a $4,000 credit limit, which gave us that 75% credit utilization. So let's say we add one more card, but this one has a $6,000 credit limit. So our overall credit limit is now $10,000, but spending remains the same on the previous card at $2,000 a month, and we spend $0 a month on the new card. So what you do is it's still just $3,000 divided by $10,000, but now our credit utilization is 30%. Now again, it doesn't matter if we spend $0 on that new card. The purpose of that new card is to increase your overall credit limit, which is going to decrease your utilization as long as you don't increase your spending at all. So by opening one more credit card, you can go from 75% utilization to 30%, which will drastically improve your credit score over time. Why did my credit card score go down when I paid off my debt? This was one of those questions you notice from the Google people also ask. So going from low to no credit utilization. So if you paid off a card and closed it out, this would negatively affect your credit age. So if somebody's asking this question or they claim that, I paid off my credit card and it hurt my credit score, it could be that they paid off their credit card and then they closed it out. And if you recall, your credit age or your history of credit represents 15% of your total credit score. So if that card had been open for 10 years and they closed it out, that's going to hurt your credit age. So that's why it's not good to close out credit cards even if you're not using them. So secondly, if you only have one credit card and you don't use it at all, this could ding your credit. The reason being is that dropping to zero utilization could cause a small drop. And if you didn't have any balance on any card, then the model just assumes you haven't used credit recently. And this is according to Barry Pepperno, former FICO employee and credit scoring expert. So earlier I kind of put in parentheses, most likely. I was talking about having zero credit or debts on a credit card. It won't hurt your credit score. It'll probably improve it. But if it's your only credit card and you're just carrying a zero amount every month, even though you have really low credit utilization, you also have no credit to even judge. What this is called sometimes is insufficient credit. So if you don't have any credit that they can actually look at and make a determination on how credit worthy you are, it's going to be difficult. So they may ding you a little bit. And number three, just to recap, if you have multiple credit cards and you don't use one of them, it won't hurt your credit score. As long as you have other cards that you do have a little bit of credit on, then you don't have to worry about that small ding. So the last thing I wanted to mention is if you are somebody who maybe has one credit card and you want to increase your credit limit, probably the easiest way is just to call your credit card company and see if they'll offer it. But the second easiest way is to open up another card as long as you're smart about it and you're using it responsibly. This website, cardratings.com, I'm affiliated with, and I do have a link in the description below. Everything I'm going to show you here is pretty easy to do. So what you do is you figure out what your credit score is. And if you're not sure, you just click I don't know and they'll follow through. But let's say you click good. And the nice thing about this is it makes it really easy to make a decision on what kind of credit card you might want. Like maybe you're interested or perhaps you're a student. So you click on student. All it's going to show you is student credit cards for people with good credit. And you can always adjust these. So let's say you're fair or you decide that, you know what, I'm more interested in gas rebates. It's going to show you all the best credit cards for that. These cards that you're seeing on the screen are as of July 9th, 2020. They're constantly changing as far as the offers and that, and this is updated every single day, as you can see, July 9th, 2020. So what you can do is you can head over to this site and see if there's a good offer that might work for you. And if you do use my link in the description, I will get a commission for that, which helps support my channel to make these educational videos. And it's also the main way that I support my family. So I really appreciate it. And the last thing I will say is I have a video on the screen on how do I get my credit card company to lower my interest rate. So if that's something you're interested in, that's a great video to check out. And again, in the description below, you will find my link to cardratings.com, and I appreciate you guys using my link. All right, I'll see you in the next video.